Hey everybody, breaking news before we get into this episode. Star Wars scripts are top secret. Don't tell anybody. Breaking news, everybody, breaking news. Welcome back, everybody.
How is he going to be more dumb? And then you do this.
Good morning, happy Monday. Welcome back to the Resistance broadcast, everybody. If you know what I'm talking about, you know. If you don't, we'll get into it a little later. I'm John Hoey. Thanks so much for joining us today. We hope you had a great weekend. We're here to make your Monday as smooth and fun as possible because we know sometimes Mondays can be a drag, right? But we're here to have a good time. We got an hour of Star Wars talk, news, your questions, a lot of good stuff. So let's get into it by saying hi to Lacey Gillerin, who's back, and the guy who broke his Iron Man streak last week. He was stuck in the maelstrom. He found his way out. James Arthur Bainey making his return to the podcast. Guys, how are you? James, welcome back.
Back.
It's an honor. Thanks for having me back, guys. It's like my second show. I'm like, oh man, I'm just glad to be back to be able to talk Star Wars. I don't normally get to talk about Star Wars stuff, so thanks for having me on the show.
First time, long time.
It's like such an honor to be here.
Yeah.
James, I'm so happy that you remembered where your mic was. It's been a really long time, man.
Yeah, I had to. It was in the closet. I haven't used it since the last celebration. When I was.
Where
on
are we
the show.
going with
No,
this?
I don't know. I was at Disney though, guys, and we haven't talked about this on the show, but I met Lacey. Lacey talked about it last week. I listened to the episodes, surprisingly, the ones that I wasn't on.
Surprise! He listens to his own show.
Yeah,
We used to.
it was like
James. Remember, we used to yell
crazy.
We used to yell at Bill all the time for not listening. Remember that?
Yeah.
Bill, if
I
you're,
think that's
Bill, if you're
partially where
listening
it's
to this,
coming
we'll find
from.
out if Bill. Dude, we'll find out right now if Bill still listens to the podcast. Bill, if you hear this, tweet at us about how we used to call you out about not listening to the show.
Way to go, Bill. James, was I right when I assumed about unlimited power that you'd be like, man, I'm kind of for it?
Yeah, so as of recording,
There
I
it
haven't
is.
done it yet, but I do want to do something where I'm reacting just like I did for Monday's episode, where I kind of talk about the topics of the week. I don't know. I want to get into it deeper. There's some aspects that I'm like yes on and some that I'm not. But I think if I was going to categorize it in one main thing, I would say that you guys are wrong because I wouldn't want like the Force Unleashed stuff. But at the same time, I think you guys are crazy when you're saying that like, you should just be able to move like ships and not like large objects, because that if you're listening to Yoda, he's saying size doesn't matter and that you can do anything because the Force is bigger than you are. It's not something that it's not a power one person has. So we'll talk about that.
John does not agree.
Maybe
His
later.
eyes are saying,
I said all those things. I said all those things. You always affiliate Lacey's
no,
points
I said
with
it
my
too.
points.
No.
I said it too.
All right,
I said
anyway.
a whole specific weight
Yeah,
to ratio, size to ratio thing. was
I
what
disagreed
said.
with that. I disagreed with that. I said size doesn't matter. I even said that on the show.
Yeah, you
But
did
anyway.
say
Yeah,
that.
I
But I
remember
said it was
you did.
stupid
You said
for her
size
to pick up
doesn't
a whole
matter.
ship.
But you
Stupid.
guys both agreed that it would be ridiculous for someone to like throw something that's this large, and I'm like, why? If the logic is there that you can move an object, and
I
the
just said it
logic is
would
there
be
that you can move
stupid.
a bigger object, then you should be able to. Someone should be able to, or could be able to move it because that's how the Force works.
It makes sense. I just think it would be
Yeah.
too much, but that's my own personal preference.
Yeah, but
You know what we should do?
but I
We
don't know.
should poll our audience about that.
Well, I may have already talked about it.
Oh, okay.
That
All right,
video
guys.
Let him
may
have his
already be
moment,
out.
John.
I have to wish today is my nephew Gavin's birthday, so happy birthday, buddy.
Happy birthday,
Happy
Gavin. I don't
birthday.
know you, but I'm wishing you happy birthday.
He is 8 years old today, so happy birthday, pal.
So he's not even listening to this. Happy birthday, Gavin.
Yeah. I'll make him listen just to this part.
Yeah.
All right, guys, we have poll results to get into here. We asked our audience. This was one of our biggest responses vote-wise. So we said, longtime Star Wars fan Kevin Smith said during his week-long visit to Episode 9 set, one performance in particular is a career best, and it brought him to tears. Who do you think he's talking about?
It's a good question.
Over 2,200 of you voted. So thank you very much for participating. We appreciate that. Hopefully all 2,200 of you are listening for these results right now. So the results are, poor Finn. 3% said Finn. People aren't buying Boyega's acting chops.
Because it's a career best. He's only been in like 3 movies.
Only 3%. Jeez.
Then again, Pacific Rim, career best. Come on.
That's what I mean, yeah. 15% for Daisy Ridley. So
Still
they
too
must have
new.
thought
Newbie.
Murder on the Orient Express was such a great performance that there's no way she could top it. Moving on,
that
closer, 37% to Adam Driver, who may be Oscar nominated for a different movie. So it's obviously not going to be him.
Okay,
And then
you're just giving your opinions at this point.
45%, guys. The winning vote. Mark Hamill. Guys, before we get into our best
It's not a
comment,
winning vote. It's the most popular vote.
which is the winning
There's
vote.
no winning. It's not a contest. It's a poll.
Yeah, however you want to slice
She
it.
doesn't say that when she's the winning vote.
Yeah. So Lacey
She says that when the highest opinion is
clearly
not
Lacey
hers.
picked John Boyega. So we'll move on to
Yeah.
you,
Clearly.
James, first. James, what did you think of these results? Were you surprised by them, and who did you vote for?
I voted for John Boyega. I'm just kidding. No, I
James
did
is
vote
like,
for
I
Mark
must be
Hamill.
different. I must be
Yeah.
different.
I did vote for Mark Hamill, and I think the reason is that I'm kind of solely basing this on is the simple fact that when somebody talks about a career best, you are usually talking about somebody who has done a lot and is maybe getting near the end of their career, but they still have the ability to do really great work. So you're trying to say like they still got it, and you're like,
Right.
Mark Hamill delivering a career best, like
Right.
he's killing it. I mean, you would say that about Harrison Ford in The Force Awakens. You wouldn't say that about Daisy Ridley. You'd say Harrison Ford gives a great performance in this movie,
Yeah.
possibly one of his career bests.
Right.
You know, because it's like it's a bigger compliment to say that for someone who's been doing it for a long time. So that's what that says to me. I think there's a couple other names that I was tossing around because they're older. But John, you brought up a good point that like some of those names probably wouldn't make him cry, you know? And I think
Yeah,
the
that was the thing.
connection. But I want to throw out one more. Do you think that something Anthony Daniels related could bring Kevin Smith to tears? Do you
His
think they could
character's
do
not
something?
supposed to be that
I don't
character,
think so.
though.
I don't
No,
think
I know,
so.
but what if C-3PO like gets in a capsule and pushes the button and then they like send off C-3PO or something for episode 9?
I have a hard time grasping onto that. I mean,
Okay,
maybe.
that's fine. That's fine. I just thought, you know,
However, you're both wrong because as our news segment's going to talk about it, Luke hasn't even been shooting his scenes around now. So when did he see these scenes? When right now Mark Hamill's shooting for that show on whatever channel that is, that Viking
how
show.
long? We'll get into this.
Yeah, we'll get
Kevin
into that.
was
Don't worry.
just
Don't-
there though.
I know. Yeah,
I'm
for
just
how
saying
long?
timelines, they don't line up because Kevin said he was just there last week on the podcast. He was like, I was just on the set, and yet Mark wasn't even on set.
That could be.
Sorry,
All right.
guys, your details don't line up.
Second
Sorry.
poll, John.
However, to be fair, I don't think Adam was there either, so I'm probably wrong too. So it could be Daisy.
Ow, my foot.
Yeah.
All right. Our best comment goes to Villain at Scum and Villainy, who said, I'll say Adam Driver. He's given the best performance in the whole trilogy to this point, and I expect that he's got some heavy moments ahead of him in episode 9. So that one got a lot of likes. Adam Driver is very popular, especially with people on social media. So not a shocker that one got all the likes. Good job, Villain. All right. We had a second poll, though, before we head into the news real quick. We said, if a Kenobi movie is announced at Star Wars Celebration, John and Lacey get to throw pies in James' face. Bang. If it is not announced, James gets to throw pies in our faces. Who is getting hit with pies at Star Wars Celebration? And you can't get closer than this poll, folks, unless it's a tie.
Yeah, I know.
Only 49% of you said James Bainey is going to get hit in the face with a pie, which means 51% of you, so like a couple of votes swung it, that Lacey and I are getting hit in the face with pies at Celebration. We shall see. We shall see.
I had to laugh. There was a tweet going around in the past week of a piece of the comic book of Vader being like, "Where's Obi-Wan Kenobi?" And someone had wrote, "All fans when they arrive at Celebration."
Yeah.
And it was so perfect.
I think that was a very close poll, and I do think it's a good little bet because I mean, who knows? You know, they really could announce that movie, and they could totally keep avoiding it like they have for a long time now. But it makes more sense that would be a close poll, unlike the spoonful of sugar thing, Lacey.
So Lacey has 2 days.
I didn't come up with that. John did.
Lacey has 2 days for the title for episode 9 or a teaser to come out, or she has to eat a spoonful of sugar. And if it does come out, or for some weird reason it came out before we are listening to this and doing this, then
leaks don't count. Official announcement.
It has to be official announcement, of course, yes, because otherwise it's a rumor.
Okay, but it's teaser and or title. That was the bet.
That's exactly what I just said.
Okay, I'm just double checking.
Okay. All right, guys. We have some news to get into, so let's get into it now. James Bainey is back. He's back in the saddle for the Resistance Report. So, James, take it away, buddy.
It's the Resistance.
All right. Well, thanks Han and Chewie and the rest of the Resistance for showing up in that sound bite.
John
I was
Williams.
almost thinking thanks, Churrit. Yeah.
Thanks, John Williams.
But we got an official announcement that certain people are going to be in the Mandalorian television show. Now, it was kind of a weird announcement because we had heard a lot of these names in the past, but Pedro Pascal is officially the Mandalorian.
Yes.
Taking the lead role. And as the write-up said on StarWars.com, he'll be joined by Gina Carano, Giancarlo Esposito. Is that how you say it?
Giancarlo Esposito.
Giancarlo.
Yep. Emily Swallow, Carl Weathers, Ahmed Abtahi. These are crazy names. Abtahi. Werner Herzog, and Nick Nolte. So we've talked about Nick Nolte last week. We've talked about Carl Weathers being kind of tossed around. I think that this was the official announcement for him, right? And then a couple other ones were officially announced, but we got a couple new names. So I'm gonna throw it to John first. What do you think about the new names? Anything pop out to you in particular? I know there's one.
Yeah. So
I know there's one thing.
So, well, I know the guy from Breaking Bad. That's kind of cool. People are really into that because Breaking Bad has a huge following and a huge fan base and a passionate fan base. So
I've
I think
never watched an episode of that show.
Oh, really? It's I mean, it's a really good show, and it was very popular. I think a lot of people were excited to hear that guy's joining it, Giancarlo Esposito.
I've met him. He's very nice, but I've never watched that show.
Cool. Did you tell him that you've never watched the show when you met him?
No, I went up to him to say I needed to film something for social media, and he was just like, "Okay, get your phone out." And I was like, "Ah."
Oh. Okay.
Like he was like in his like drug dealer.
Did he
mode, I guess?
offer you any chicken?
No. He was very nice though. Very, very nice. He was joking with me.
So, James, we are talking about Ahmed Abtahi. And when we were doing the Star Wars Newsnet report for this, I was like, let me look up some of these people because I don't really know them at all. So I looked him up and I'm scrolling through his IMDb page. I'm like, the Clone Wars? I'm like, that's kind of cool. So maybe they're like,
That's
oh, this
awesome.
guy, he's worked with us before, so let's bring him back in. And then I was like looking at who he played. He played a Mandalorian cadet named Amos or Amos. I don't know
So
how
maybe
it's
he's playing the same character again.
So yeah,
That's John's possible thought.
so I was thinking, are they going to bring this guy back to play a live action version of this character?
That's nuts.
So it's something to keep an eye on, at least. So Ahmed Abtahi, and it's funny, he quote tweeted on Twitter the official announcement and said, "Mom, I'm going to be in Star Wars," and I commented with "again" with an asterisk, and he liked it. So I was like, yeah. I reminded him
So
that he
I
was in
wonder-
Star Wars before. So.
If that's the case, then is that the first time in Star Wars that someone from the animated series had made a jump to live action,
No.
character-wise?
Well, no, I mean, Saw
Character-wise-
Gerrera, for instance.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. So he
But-
was
but-
in Rebels first.
But an actor
No,
playing
he was in Clone Wars
Clone
first.
Wars.
Oh.
An actor playing the same person, because I don't think Forrest Whitaker was Saw Gerrera in the Clone Wars, right? Or was he?
No.
Yeah.
So you're right if you're gonna say like
The
this
same
would be
person.
like Freddie Prinze Jr. being able to play
The Kanan, yeah.
in live action.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
Got
Okay.
it. Okay.
If that's the case, I do believe that's probably the first time. The only other thing that I can think of is like, I don't know.
I mean, that's just so cool. Like to make that jump is
So
crazy.
all right, so I know a lot of you guys have watched Clone Wars and stuff. James, I know, is a huge fan of Clone Wars. I watched it only once or twice, the series, but so this guy got into some trouble and he caused Satine to get herself in a situation where she got captured, and then he tried to start this coup to get her freed or exonerated or released, and it didn't work out, and she got executed. So that's who this Amis, I forget how you pronounce his name, character is. So it would be interesting. I want to hear what you guys think about that. Is it possible in your mind that this guy could be playing this character again? Does it make sense for this character to be around?
For me, absolutely.
Okay.
Like it really, really does.
Because this show takes
because-
place between.
After Return of the Jedi.
After Return of the Jedi, so it's like long after the fact. That's okay. You know what? Now that you put that into perspective, I'm gonna go with no. And the
Okay.
reason is because if this guy was roughly, let's say, like 20 years old, by the time this happens, he'd be closer to like 40 or 50, right?
Okay. How old's the actor?
And the actor that's playing him, I don't know.
Let's look it up right
find
now.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because in my head, I'm thinking, like, where does this take place? Because, again, I'm terrible at timelines. Because I was like, would Kenobi show up? But then if it takes place after Return of the Jedi, it doesn't make sense.
It would be strictly Force Ghost, and he probably wouldn't pop up to visit a Mandalorian.
Probably not. Nope.
So he was born in 1979. So what would that be? That'd be 40?
40.
So that makes sense.
Or 50.
40.
40. Okay, yeah.
So that makes sense, though.
It's doable.
I guess you're right. It is doable. That's possible.
You heard it here, folks. James Baney is saying that this guy is going to be the same character.
Yeah. I think the reason that it's interesting is because there's what's one real big dramatic element to the entire Mandalorian thing is how was the culture supposed to be handled? Were they supposed to be peaceful or were they supposed to be warriors? And this person is someone who kind of sided for the warrior side and then had a dramatic revelation that he did the wrong thing and it caused the leader of the Mandalorians to be killed. So this person has a direct tie to like a major Mandalorian event in history. Like I said, that alone wouldn't surprise me. I'd have to like really think through the math on the age and does that make sense and could this guy play him? But I think
it would just be a really cool detail.
That might work.
I would say two things. One, just keep an eye on it. And two, like try to think about the character's voice. Was it distinct enough where bring this guy in, would you'd hear his voice and be like, damn, that's him. It's the guy, you know? So just, something to think about.
Absolutely. And I could see Filoni bringing him back.
Yeah, because he is directing an episode, so he's in the mix here. It's
and what if the new episodes of the Clone Wars have him in it again?
And they tie stuff in. Yeah.
Yeah, they're doing that like, woo, woo, woo. That's me sewing something.
Because I did, Wikipedia is great. I don't want to hold you up here, James, because I know you want to segue, but I looked up Wikipedia to make sure this character wasn't dead, and as far as I can tell, he's not dead, so he's out there somewhere, running a deli, waiting for the comeback.
All right, so we can finally get into it now because even though we know who's going to be in The Mandalorian, we don't know everything about who and how much and all these characters are going to be in episode 9. And we got Mark Hamill, who is confirmed for episode 9. He's going to be there. He was, caught talking about some of the stuff that's been going on while in the process of filming. He talked about how long he's already been there. He's talked about maybe it kind of inadvertently led to how much he's maybe shot. And then one other thing was just a fun little thing about the script and how high security and how detailed on like who can see it and when people can see it, and as long as you promise to do all these crazy things involving like you're not allowed to have it overnight. It has to be locked up, just all these crazy things. It's not allowed to be in paper. It's like the specific paper or something.
I wouldn't want it. I'd be like, please.
Well, I
Imagine
mean, you have
the pressure,
to have it to a degree. You have to learn your lines and stuff, so they have to give it to him, and they have to see what he's preparing for. But it puts a little bit of pressure on him. Number one, to like learn your lines faster, not be able to do it like in private. And like the second thing is, well, I guess it kind of bleeds off of that pirate thing or private thing, is that they like stand there while you read it,
That would bother the hell out of me.
I know. That's what I'm thinking. It's like sometimes, I mean, everybody's like said like, hey, look at this picture. And they like show you something on your phone and you're like, oh, I got to read this faster. They're going to judge me for not being able to read it quickly. But no, so this is kind of interesting. And Lacey, we'll jump in it, me and you right here. So you say, because he was talking and he said that he was there for about a week. And then he left to go do his other show, Nightfall.
Currently, he's filming that.
Yeah, and he's going to go back to shoot the majority of his scenes. So he hasn't
Once Nightfall's done.
Once Nightfall's done. He's going to go back to episode 9 and shoot the rest of, which is the majority of his scenes. So my reaction to that is he's been there a week, and Kevin Smith was there for a week, but you say maybe the timelines don't line up. The other thing is that I think that someone in a week's time would have plenty of time to shoot a scene that is very emotional. It's not like it's shot chronologically. He could have shot the final scene of the movie.
To be clear, I didn't say it wasn't him. I'm just saying there's also a probability that he wasn't there.
No. Yeah, okay. Yeah. So that's the thing is we were talking earlier about, do we think that it could be Mark Hamill that Kevin Smith was talking about?
It could also not be Adam because Adam's been at all these award shows and stuff.
Yeah, I still think it's possible that it could be Mark Hamill, considering he has already shot things, which means he could have shot an emotional scene, and he was there for a week, which is the same time Kevin Smith was there. So it seems like you're kind of agreeing with that, at least.
Yeah, I think anything's possible. I just think that there's also a probability that it could not be Mark. That's what I was arguing.
Yeah.
But I can't help but think about like this whole script thing. I just recently saw Ocean's 8, and first of all, it was okay. Not that anybody cares, but it was all right. But the whole scene where they're like, she's obviously wearing the necklace and like they have cops following her, and then she goes into the bathroom and that's when they switch it. Like, imagine that's Mark. He's like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I'm gonna read this in the bathroom. And then he comes out and then the script's gone and they're like, what happened to the script? And there's like this whole Ocean's 8 where someone switched the script with another script. Anyway, that's what went through my head in that 30 seconds that you talked about, like how someone's sitting there. But as someone that's had a job like this, so early out of college, I worked at WWE, fun fact of the day. And one of my jobs was to take the tapes back from shows. Like it was like a tape runner job. It's how they test you if you're like trustworthy. And so they give you every tape that they recorded at the time. I'm sure it's digital now, but back in 2010, they were still recording the tape. And they throw the tapes into a suitcase. They hand you the suitcase and they say, okay, bring it back to the office. Now, you lose that suitcase. That is the only copy of Raw that they have. Yeah. So they give you this suitcase and they're like, good luck. And they like tell you don't put it through an x-ray machine, like all the stuff because you could erase the tapes.
Yeah.
It was, and people
don't get any of your magnets.
Yeah. And people
because Raw was taped for a while. It was live, then it was taped. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Well, no,
are you saying
it's
that's
always
the
live.
Raw footage?
Yes. So it's always been taped.
Nice.
Because what they do
Got
is
it.
after it's live in the US, they then cut it down according to censorship in different countries. Like I think China, they can't show blood or something like that. So they like cut stuff down. But the fact of like handing these tapes to me, I was
Crazy.
like, oh God. And they like give you your own town car to bring you to the airport because they don't want you to like get into a cab and leave it in a cab. So like I can only imagine being this PA and they're like, here you go, Johnny, go find Mark Hamill, give this to Mark Hamill, sit there and take it back from him. And they probably have like a locked briefcase that they put the script in because I mean, the world we live in today, it just takes one camera phone. And that it's over.
Yeah.
Yep.
You know, that's why they switched everybody's phones to Nokia phones and like all this stuff. Like, it doesn't surprise me JJ's doing this. He wants it to be a genuine surprise, whatever the movie ends up being. So I just think it's so cool the way they're handling this. Like, I know it's kind of like lame in the sense of like, wow, they're really like crazy but with rules, but like I think it's hilarious. I'm like, that's awesome. They actually they're paying someone to sit there while Mark reads this piece of paper, and then he's like, all right, I'm set, and the guy goes, thank you, and then leaves.
Right. And that
want
guy's
that
just
job.
probably sitting there waiting and he doesn't care and he's just like, hurry up and read it, you old fart.
He's like sipping sipping his latte.
Yeah.
He's
I
on
gotta
his
get
BlackBerry.
home. You know what's funny? Like Mark,
It's a Star Trek guy.
yeah, he's like he hates Star
Just
Wars.
like
yeah.
not even.
Yeah.
And how do you not read it if you're the guy with the script?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. But it's funny, like hearing Mark talk about the original script and he's like, yeah, I gave it to my buddy. And he's like, can I show this to my girlfriend? And he's like, yeah, go ahead, check it out. He's just like, they're just passing it around like it's a newspaper back in 1975. And now it is like more, secure than government documents. It's
I think they
Well, don't
treat
forget
a
too,
lot of stuff
we
that
talked
too.
about it. Yeah, we talked about it before the book, the novel.
yeah, yep.
Star
right,
Wars came
right.
out before the movie, so
Right.
they even knew that the story was going to be out there before the film ever hit.
Yeah.
so
And now the
it's like-
novelization comes out like 6 months after the movie's out, and you're like, okay, great. Didn't
Um,
already seen the movie.
Yeah, well, for two of the movies, they came out at the same time, and then Last Jedi was a little later, and Solo was like a lot later, I think.
Yeah. The filming thing with Hamill, it's like I was thinking about this and he's saying, I got more to film or whatever. Most of my parts have to be filmed. And I'm thinking about The Force Awakens and he was there like for almost the whole shoot because I guess JJ wanted it to seem like, Luke's involved in this movie. Because if you see that Mark Hamill's in California and then he's here and there, people are going to be like, is he not in this movie? So they kept him there probably to do this, do that, hang around, keep the illusion. Even he posts a lot of pictures on the lot and stuff. And now it's kind of like I have most of my parts to film still. I'm like, he could very well just have a very small part still in this movie,
Yes, absolutely. And I think that also people need to remember, imagine all the stuff that no one's ever going to see.
Yeah.
The
right.
scenes they shot, the moments they shot that no one will ever see. A good example of that in a movie is in Crazy Rich Asians. Harry Shum Jr. from Glee was in the movie, the entire movie. And they cut him out at the last minute because it didn't make sense. So he's at the very end credit scene. So like he was in the whole movie and they cut him out.
Damn.
Really?
Yeah.
That's weird. I was thinking about Crazy Rich Asians earlier when you were bringing up Ocean's 8 because the Aquafina girl is
Yep. So
in it.
he was in it as a love interest to one of the characters. And the way that the story went, they wanted it to be more about her and her independence than their love interest. So they're saving him for the second movie, but he shot the whole movie. And then they were like, psych. So imagine being him and you show up at the premiere and you're like, wait, I'm not in this movie.
That's
Who else
insane.
did that happen to?
I've heard that happening before.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was someone who was cut out of like an X-Men movie or something.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think, man, there was.
It happens more than you think. Yeah.
Imagine being a
There
movie
was a pretty
editor
big
and you're
one
like,
time.
you're ordered by the director to take someone out of a movie and you're just like, I hope this guy doesn't know that I'm the editor for this movie. And you're just like, cut.
Just like ready, cut, drag to trash can.
Like as James right now cuts me out of this episode of the podcast, just like cut. Just cut that out.
Drag.
Can I work it out where it's just me and Lacey for like 10 minutes?
And then I like show back up and I'm just like, so then, this happened. And
Yeah.
James, so one other thing I heard.
Hold on, I got to get this in there.
yeah.
All right, let's send it over to John for the Scoundrels Rundown.
No, just stop it now.
That's the one segment you do.
Yeah, that's it. I'm there for a minute and I'm gone.
John, why are you on this podcast?
I've heard.
Thanks, Sean. We'll talk to you next week.
I don't even know if anyone's listening to this or can hear me. Help me. I've heard that this movie's being a lot of rewrites, but not in a bad way necessarily. They're juggling a lot of things around and kind of going as they go. And I've heard this from somebody that I kind of trust. And then I also heard, from that source we had that said they extended one set 2 months after Principal ends through. So probably will wrap around the time of Celebration. And it makes me wonder if Hamill's, most of my part stuff, on the flip side of he may have a small part, what if JJ's like, I need more Luke. We found a place to put more Luke. And what if, he spent his week on set, did a scene, and they're like, well, you're coming back. We got this too, this too, this too. So that's possibility too. And this is obviously just possibility. So it could be a very small role and they could be adding stuff for him. We don't really know, but we do know most of his stuff obviously is not in the can yet.
I feel like obviously we saw in The Director and the Jedi how much pressure Rian Johnson felt about the movie.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like JJ's under more pressure. Like they're not telling it, but I feel like he is. Just based on the audience reaction. Not everyone, I'm not part of this, but that small minority that's angry, I feel like they're trying to make this a movie that everyone will like. Do you know what I'm saying? I hope that's not the case, but I feel like with all these rewrites, it's making me a little nervous.
Clayton
We've
pretty
definitely
much told
talked
us
to
that.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about that before, but I think that JJ is far more seasoned at just understanding like the weight of if this movie comes out and people don't like it, what can I expect?
This
Rian
is the
Johnson
end of the legacy,
had done like 2 movies or whatever, and then all of a sudden the sophomore of this new, you know what I mean? And there's so much pressure on that sophomore movie was on him, and it's like his third theatrical film. It's just like
right.
That's so crazy to me.
And
You watch that documentary and you're like, dude,
I
don't
felt
know.
for him.
I don't
I
know
have
how
really
the
crazy
heck
anxiety, and I felt
you're
his
managing
anxiety
to
through
pull
the
all
screen.
this off.
Yeah.
And you could almost feel the tension with I'm not saying there was a lot of tension, but Hamill obviously had his issues and whatever. But when he like went up to him to tell him what the title of the movie was, and he's like, I haven't told anybody this yet. I'm going to tell you. It was almost like him throwing a bone to Hamill. And he's like, it's called The Last Jedi. He's like, that's you, buddy. And Hamill's okay, I kind of like that. Just kind of like trying to reel him back in. We'll go back to that scene in that documentary. I find that very interesting. I want to hear what you guys think about that.
Yeah. I feel like going into The Last Jedi, though, not to get too much off topic, Mark kind of felt a little ignored, I would guess, going into this movie, only because he wasn't in The Force Awakens at all.
Yeah.
And like the whole time, everyone's like, where's Luke? And then he shows up at the end and he's like, here I am. And Mark is reading the script going, where am I?
Because he narrated it in the first read. He was the one who read the script, and he said, I'm flipping through the pages and there's no Luke lines. But Lacey, I agree that there is probably a lot of pressure on Abrams for 9, but
I think he's going to do a great job. I want to specify that. I think he's going to do an epic job.
I agree, but I can't see this being more pressure than him having to revive Star Wars from the dead with The Force Awakens.
Probably not. You're
taking
probably right.
over from George Lucas, go make a great Star Wars movie. That one, and he knocked that one out. So I think he feels confident. And he's working with a little fan capital because he's not Rian Johnson. So even the people who liked The Force Awakens, who hated The Last Jedi, are like, all right, we got this guy back.
Hopefully no lens flare.
Who cares? Bring more lens flare. Let's do
I
it.
hate the lens flare.
I'm all about the lens flare.
Of course you are.
James just added lens flare to the podcast just now.
Bing. Yeah. I get bothered when people compare him to the lens flare because I'm like, it looks amazing.
I didn't like it.
Stop picking on him.
Stop saying amazing. How about that?
No, lens flares are amazing. You guys want to talk about this last little rundown of rumors?
I just want to say lens flare comes as a standard effect in Final Cut Pro and iMovie. So
yeah, but not good lens flare.
Just lens flare.
Like 3 standard
lens flare doesn't look good.
Yeah, that's like saying bass drums and snare drums come standard in GarageBand, but it's but not a good bass drum or a good snare.
All right, if you guys are watching this on YouTube right now, comment whether you like lens flare or you don't like lens flare.
Yeah, but that's a loaded question. That's like saying if you do or don't like Nickelback. Of course, not liking Nickelback is going to get the most votes. The question should be,
do you like when J.J. Abrams uses lens flare?
Okay, I'll rephrase that. If you like Nickelback, comment that you like Nickelback. If you don't like Nickelback, comment that you don't like Nickelback. Better, James? Is that better?
I don't know. I stopped listening. You guys want to talk about puppet rumors?
Yeah, real quick.
I love
let's do
a good
that.
puppet.
All right. This story's actually got a lot to it. So one of the things is that we might be getting a new gigantic puppet for a creature. I think that's the main.
Neil loves his puppets.
The main takeaway from this. This was from Making Star Wars. They were breaking this. They were kind of they've been doing a lot of sneaking around, getting these little scoops here and there. I think sometimes they're right, sometimes they're not. But this one came from them. They were looking at this giant puppet creature, which could be. I guess I'm assuming the reason they're phrasing it as gigantic is because it's one of the largest we've ever seen. That could be neat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Bigger than the milking thing.
I don't know.
The Thala siren.
You can't see my hands. I was doing this.
Yeah. the sirens thing.
So Lacey does know what to do with her hands. Okay.
And also on top of that too, some Jules Verne styled alien architecture. So the way that was described is sort of like Maz's castle if Maz's castle was in the future kind of thing.
Chrome? We're talking SpongeBob future episode where Squidward goes into the future and everything's chrome.
Maybe, or a steampunk version.
You ever seen that where then the coral comes out of the ground and they go over and they spray it with spray paint to make it chrome?
I've never sat down and watched SpongeBob before.
How dare you?
Says the girl who's never seen really Breaking Bad. Okay.
Yeah.
SpongeBob is better than Breaking Bad. Roasted. All internet memes are SpongeBob, literally.
Internet memes dictate good content, folks.
Yeah, absolutely. So chrome. So it's a chrome set. Or is the puppet chrome?
No. The set. Where did you get chrome?
Because you said future and metal, and I said chrome.
Jules Verne is the thing. But no, I mean this story actually, there's a lot to it. They were talking about how there was someone at Disney who was overheard saying, and stay tuned for a new look at a galaxy far, far away, which could be hinting at us getting a trailer sometime soon.
And that had to do with Christmas. It was a Christmas thing that they were doing, right?
But if a trailer's already out.
It could be.
Lacey is really just digging herself a gigantic. Speaking of SpongeBob, there is a meme of him burying himself with sand. That's Lacey in 3 days. Except it's not sand; it's sugar.
No. Sorry, go ahead, James.
And additional to the stuff about the Maz's Castle stuff is that the Pinewood is currently still filming a movie, and it was presumed that it might be Star Wars. There's other movies that it could possibly be, but there was seen on set like a ton of fake snow. So the question then is there going to be like a planet that has to do with snow, or is it going to be snowing on
again?
Something like that? Yeah. So if he goes back to another snow planet, this is Hoth to Starkiller to a new snow planet.
What's the one that
just the same way.
What's the one that Han goes on?
It was
Vandor.
Tatooine to Jakku to a new sand planet. I mean, it's possible.
I don't want more snow planets.
What do you want us to talk about, though, James, about it? I guess that's the real question.
Yes. Yeah, so I mean, there's all sorts of information. This was one article that talks about like 5 different things.
The photos I saw, the set looked very like the buildings looked very Grecian, like they were like those white buildings that you usually see in Greece. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying? Like the ones that are in the mountain.
Good use of the word Grecian.
Right.
Thank you so much.
I like that. I like that. Do you guys think that we're gonna get a giant puppet? Do you think that that's likely? Do you think that they are accurate in
the creature
seeing
guy
something
Neil
that
loves
was like
big puppets?
And
I went Caribbean style in a second. Puppet.
It said a turtle-like puppet.
That's right, turtle-like. Yep.
That's
interesting. I could see it being something that like they have to go to someone to get advice, and there's this guy, or it could be someone in the background of a scene. I mean, think about The Force Awakens, where Bazine was with that guy.
Right.
And he was just there, and he didn't do anything. It was just like her daddy. Like it was just like
he was straight chilling, like on a recliner, just like
and he was, and all he does is
or like a. Are we thinking big like Rancor big, or are we thinking like Jabba the Hutt big?
If they brought back Rancors, I'd lose it.
The tricky thing there with the Rancor is that was done with small scale puppets and sort.
No. But I'm saying they might do it. The reason time.
The reason why I say Rancor is because it says this one may involve multiple people to operate. So I'm thinking more of like Jabba size or the Hapabor from TFA.
What if that's the set Kevin Smith was on?
The giant puppet made Kevin Smith cry. Maybe it's the giant puppet that had a career best performance, and that's what made Kevin Smith cry.
Yoda shows up again, and it's like, this is the third or fourth time Yoda's been in a movie, but it's the career best so far.
I don't know. Yeah.
No. So you guys kind of expressed your opinion about a snow planet.
The snow, James. The snow thing.
To go back.
They said it's salt. They use salt to create the snow, right?
Salt. Mm-hmm.
Now, when they filmed Empire Strikes Back for Hoth, they went to Norway and they filmed in some actual snow. Even outside, it was so bad that sometimes they filmed right outside the hotel, and they did some famous shots right outside a hotel door. For Vandor, they went to Italy, in the mountains of Italy, for Solo. If they're, I haven't heard about them going to any type of snowy terrain type of place to film scenes. So if they are doing a snow salt-based thing, it's very brief, or it's, I'm not sure.
They looked like houses to me, the set. It looked like it honestly looked like the buildings you see in The Phantom Menace, because we just watched that, guys, on our Patreon.
Hey.
Yeah, shout out. It looked like those buildings, like that modular building, just white. Like it wasn't painted yet.
Yeah, and there was a circular entrance to one of the buildings, and Pat Covey, our old buddy, pointed out that he thinks it may have to do with one of the huts, because it looks like something from the Poe Dameron comic, with that hut that helped out Poe Dameron. I mean, it'd be cool if a hut came back, I guess, but we can talk more about that later. But I mean, I don't know, James. Just to sum up my thoughts on this, because I'm sure we're up against time, is that it's all very interesting to me, and I like stuff like this that doesn't give story away but makes us think. So pretty
I guess
cool.
My next big question, and this could possibly be a discussion for us eventually, is like, what loose ends need to be tied up in this film? Because that will usually dictate where the story's going. What?
Writing down
John's
future show
down
notes
for future notes. Yeah.
I mean, it's a good question. Like, and I'm not just saying in the sequel trilogy. I'm saying in the entire trilogy, saga. What storylines or things need to be tied up?
Who are Rey's parents? Just tell us already.
Oh my god. I don't know what's more
Who's
aggravating. Who's raised parents,
Who is
or we might get
Anakin's dad?
or we might get a snow planet.
Shmi was lying. Who's the father?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool stuff.
Yeah, I like Lacey's idea of going back and trying to figure out where all the loose ends. We could do a Kessel run of loose ends, loose ends in Star Wars, things that still have not been addressed. Our top 12
Plot holes.
hasn't been addressed. Plot holes, maybe. I don't know. This plot hole, but
Open-ended nonsense.
Open-ended nonsense. All right,
Speaking
guys,
of
that's it for
nonsense,
the Resistance. No, it's not
coming
it.
up
Let's
next.
keep talking.
What's a hate on John Day? What the hell?
All right, guys. So we are done with the Resistance report. That's all the reporting we can do for the Resistance this week. However, there were a few little tidbits that we want to talk about. So I'm going to send it over to a guy that we like to bring on the show just for this segment named John Hoey. John, I'm sending it over to you. Take it away with the Scoundrels Rundown.
All right, guys. Listen, Bainey, it is great to have you back. I'm glad you made it out of the Maelstrom. And there's only one way you can make it out of a Maelstrom, and that is hitting the right coordinates and following after me. 3, 2, 1.
Punch it!
Punch it! Did I do it?
I guess. Hey guys, we have a giveaway going on right now. If you head over to our Twitter account at RBATSWNN, find our tweet. It might still be pinned to the top, but it's easy to find because there's a giant picture that says follow us and retweet. And what you could win? Well, Lacey and I went shopping at Target. You can find that video also. We got a Black Series Enfys Nest with swoop bike. Awesome. That's real fur, right, Lacey? The thing's
It's really, really
badass.
cool. I was kind of jealous.
Kevin McAllister likes it over here. We also got a Chewy Micro Millennium Falcon with Lego set. What was the other thing we got? We got the book of all the creatures and places.
The new
Aliens
one
and
that just
Creatures?
came out, it was the last copy. It was the Creatures and Aliens, like behind the scenes movie magic book.
It has like little flaps you open up where you
Yep.
see original concept art. The thing is absolutely
It's heavy
cool.
too, guys. It's like a legit book.
You could knock someone out with that book with one
Not
swing.
looking forward to
Absolutely.
paying the shipping on it, but it is legit.
And then
And
the fourth item
the last
was,
thing was a chicken dinner.
we got a Sad Porg. So there's several Porg pops, I guess. We got one that's called Sad Porg. It's the one that watches Chewie eating a porg. So we got
And
that
not
guy.
in the image, you get creepy masks.
And we got creepy masks that you can wear
Oh,
as
yeah.
well. So all those things can be yours. All you have to do is find that tweet on our Twitter account at RBATSWNN. Make sure you're following us and then click retweet and you're in. And we're going to announce that winner on our special Christmas Eve episode a week
Christmas
from
Eve,
today.
Spectacular.
Yes, we'll name it something just like that. Okay, guys, next on the rundown, we have Star Wars Resistance has ended its first half run. And guys, I gotta say, I've kind of dogged on this show a little bit for being a little too goofy, but it ended pretty well. It impressed me quite a bit. It shows Leia kind of telling Kazuda that he is a big part of the Resistance, and we know that this show is going to overlap and go parallel with events from The Force Awakens. So I think it's going to start heating up a little bit, and there's going to be shorts that come out until the second half resumes next month, so look out for those on YouTube. And the second half of the show is going to pick up in January, so I'm excited to see where they take this series. I'm giving it a true shot here. And that is pretty much it for the rundown, James. We have to move on because it is time to hear from you guys. You guys did send us questions and we are excited about it. So Chewy, get us out of here.
Okay, guys.
Growl.
All right, guys.
Growl.
It's time for
You guys miss me.
Ask the Resistance. You guys have Star Wars questions. Hopefully, we have some good Star Wars answers.
I've been wondering, what are midichlorians?
So our first question comes from Scott Gibson at Scott Gibby. It just makes me think of Gibby from Full House. You know Gibby.
Kimmy
The
Gibbler?
Yeah, they call her Gibby, don't they? No?
No.
Okay. Well, that's what it made me think of. Sorry, Scott. Anyway, he asks, will we see any one-on-one fights or small-scale fights parentheses, similar to the throne room, parentheses, other than Rey versus Kylo Ren in episode 9? I'll start because obviously this has Kylo Ren in it, so it's my question.
One-dimensional. What?
Okay, so the thing that's getting me hung up on this question, Scott, is that right now the only people that have lightsabers are Rey and Kylo. So to say that there would be other lightsaber fights, we then have to assume there are other lightsabers in the galaxy. And right now it's looking pretty slim unless somehow
He's just saying
are...
fights.
He didn't say lightsabers.
Just fights.
So like Finn versus Phasma.
Yeah.
Oh, I read this as like lightsaber fights.
Yeah.
Because he used Rey versus Kylo Ren.
And the throne room as the example.
Right, and that's a lightsaber fight.
Rey and Kylo Ren may just have a slap fight.
They might. Rey doesn't even have a lightsaber.
She
no
doesn't
guarantee.
right now. So that's the other thing is like, so it'd be very one-sided. It's kind of unfair. But one-sided fights, I mean, Phasma's gone, so it's kind of difficult. Maybe Hux versus someone, but I can't see Hux fighting anybody. He would have that comedic moment where he'd be like, huh, and then he'd run in the other direction. Like he'd have that Star Wars moment where he'd be like, I'm out of here, and he'd run away. So no, sadly, I'm going to say no to this question until I see someone in a teaser trailer coming out next week that looks like, well, yeah, in a couple days, that has a lightsaber.
What if there's just like a scene, like we see like Poe, you know, they've had their banters back and forth. He finally gets face to face with Hux and he just knocks him out.
Oh, yeah. But see, I still think Hux would run away or throw someone in front of him.
You called me Hugs. He's like,
I love Donald Gleason.
No, he shoots him in the teaser trailer. Hux dies.
oh,
They reveal, they show that in the
Unbelievable.
teaser trailer.
why would they do that? Unbelievable.
I don't know.
All
I'm just
right,
kidding.
next question is at me and my Padawan. Oh, how nice. And they said, we know that Pedro Pascal is in The Mandalorian, and that's about it thus far. So I'm curious how you see the other characters being cast. Like, for example, who is most likely to play the Force-sensitive character? Who might be a CGI character? Things like that. James, what do you think?
Well, I know that we had talked about Nick Nolte being kind of a Han-like character or like a Beckett type character.
I didn't say that.
And well, we had talked, that was discussed. So I kind of was leaning towards that. As far as Force sensitive characters, I don't know that there would be one in this show. I think that as far as the Mandalorian and the Cassian Andor shows, both of those shows seem to me like they're going to try to kind of stay away from the Force and just make it about the war versus the lore.
I like that. Nice rhyme.
I didn't come up with that.
Oh,
That's Force Center Pod. Shout out, Kevin Knapsack. But
good job.
yeah. As far as who might be a CG character, I mean, at this point right now, we just got the casting announcements. I don't really particularly see anybody that, you know, couldn't be a live action character, although I have I've joked around a little bit as my wild card that we could see Jar Jar Binks in the show. That was so Ahmed Best, not yet cast, would be the CGI character. So I'm making a couple bold statements. I'm saying there's no Force sensitive characters. Jar Jar Binks is going to show up, and Nick Nolte is a Beckett knockoff. So I hope that answers the question. Me and my Padawan keep asking. Keep it coming with the Ask the Resistance.
So James, just to be clear, are you trying to say that Nick Nolte's going to play Beckett's dad?
Yes. That's what I said. I said
Okay.
knockoff.
Next question. Joe Labrasi at Kaijo_Ren. That is one of the best names I've ever seen. Kaijo Ren. Joe asks, was there ever a performance in a Star Wars movie that you thought deserved a Best Actor, it's only actor now, Best Actor nomination at the Oscars? the Academy tends to avoid blockbuster films, so I think performances like Adam Driver's in The Last Jedi were deserving but overlooked. Same, Joe. Same. John, what do you think?
So to date, do I think there has been a performance by an actor or actress that garners?
Right.
No.
Even Adam Driver?
No.
No, I'm totally with you.
Yeah, not yet. Not yet. I've tweeted that he could pull it off in 9 maybe if they open it up a bit more, but
They had them on the for your consideration thing last year.
What does that
past
mean?
year. So before the Oscars the nominations are chosen, a lot of people do these campaigns that are called for your consideration campaigns. So
sure.
Disney put one out with Mark Hamill, Adam Driver, and Daisy on it.
yeah, I mean, there have been wonderful performances. I think the actors all do a great job, but for Oscar stuff, no. And I don't know that Star Wars needs that because sometimes people take Star Wars very seriously and think it's supposed to be serious. And anytime a fan makes a fan cut of a trailer, it's some dark, brooding thing. And we have to remember that the charm of Star Wars is its campiness to its roots. And I think the best, when Star Wars is at its best, is when it's simple and fun and campy, while still having those tales of fantasy and morality and all that good stuff. So I don't know that it constitutes Oscar-worthy type of performances, but I would, if someone would do it, I would say Adam Driver would be a good choice for episode 9 to close this thing out with a great performance. Don't sleep on Daisy Ridley. I think she's a fantastic actress, and I think she keeps just getting better. But do I think it will happen? No. Do I think one of the past should have? No. But I really also don't even care about the Oscars, to be honest with you. So I may not be the right person for that because I'm not an award obsessed person. But that's just my answer. So.
Yeah, another thing, just to throw it in there too, is that while we all love the movies that we pay attention to, oftentimes people don't pay attention to the movies that are actually nominated. Like, oh, I think Adam Driver did a great job, but did you see Hacksaw Ridge? Did you see La La Land? Did you see Manchester by the Sea?
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Right.
What do you think of Casey Affleck's performance in the movie about where he accidentally kills his children?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like he accidentally sets his house on fire. How was his performance in that compared to Adam Driver performing Kylo Ren?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's phenomenal, and that's why he deserves that award.
Right.
So, I mean,
Shape of Water isn't the same film as Star Wars. I get that.
Right.
I just think Adam Driver.
Now I wouldn't be shocked if Star Wars, if Star Wars Episode 9 winds up being phenomenal and a great movie. I could see a Return of the King situation where it gets nominated for Best Picture or something like that because it's the last Star Wars. That would not be outrageous to me, but that's as close as I think it'd get. And of course, John Williams.
Well, they're saying this year that Black Panther's up there, and it could be Best Picture.
I don't know. I don't see Star Wars getting a Best Picture nomination, no matter how. I mean, we're gonna love the movie.
Do not forget, though, James,
it's gonna be a great accomplishment. But
they've opened up the spectrum on Best Picture nominations, though. They've included
now they
blockbusters
have
and
blockbuster.
Yeah.
What?
They added categories this year.
Yeah, they
didn't. They took those away.
They've expanded.
No, they added blockbuster.
Well, no. What I'm saying is
no, they didn't.
What I'm saying is they've expanded the amount of nominees for movies in recent years. I know what Lacey's saying.
That was a couple.
That was
a couple years ago. They expanded it to 10, and that was to add The Dark Knight or whatever. But since that, they've never done 10. So they have the ability to add 10, but they never do.
Yeah. So all I said was, if it did happen, I could see the possibility of that happening if it's absolutely incredible.
Honestly, if Black Panther wins this year, I think that's going to change everything.
I didn't even think Black Panther was that good.
It was very good. It's on its way to be.
Okay, you're saying it was very good. Was it the best picture of 2018?
I don't know. I don't know what's been nominated yet.
Well, I don't know. That's the other thing is now that I have a son, I haven't been able to see the other movies. But
I thought Crazy Rich Asians was amazing, but I don't think that's going to get nominated.
Yeah,
I didn't see that.
So, but here, just to be clear, I don't want to feel like we're clashing there for a second, Lacey. They did add Best Popular Film, and they got so much backlash from it that they
pulled
said
it back.
we're not doing it.
They pulled it?
They pulled it back.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm an idiot then. I thought they added it.
No, you're not.
I was like, no, they didn't add it. It was being touted as the Black Panther award because they were saying we don't actually want to give Black Panther Best Picture. We're being cowards, so we're going to make this other category.
So people are saying no, they want to win fair and square.
They were like falling behind a different wall where they were saying, well, no, we were afraid that people were going to say that the movies that we actually feel like are best pictures are movies that no one's ever seen. So in order to draw in a new audience, we were going to do this best popular category, and it was just all blew
and it's
up in
not
their
the
face.
People's Choice Awards, so they want it. But the whole thing for me, not to go too much off tangent, is like if you want to be recognized in a certain category, it should be everybody's in that category. You shouldn't make a special category for specific things. Like, get into the same category with everybody else and win it fair and square. But I get why they did that. Anyway.
Joe, thank you for the question.
Thank you, Joe. Next question is Tyler, and this is going to be for all of us. So he wants to know, and his is Tyrannus Davis, wants to know what our guesses are for the title of episode 9.
Oh, gosh. Can we just refer to what we did like long ago?
I've changed mine since then.
Sure, go ahead.
Have you?
Yeah, go ahead. I'm going to go last because I need a second to think about it.
Though. John, do you remember what I said the title was? It was
Super Shredder Strikes Back.
No, it wasn't.
That's not
Oh.
it. I think it was Legacy of the Dark.
Oh, okay.
I think. So that was one thing I came up with. But I think that because A New Hope is the only title that doesn't start with the or have of the in it. So it's very likely that it's going to be the blank blank or blank of the blank.
Yeah.
Right.
There's
that's
a pretty solid chance that it's going to be one of those. Oh, I don't know. I'll stick with Legacy of the Dark because I had thought it through and I thought that made a lot of sense.
All right. Lacey's is Soft Boy Surprise.
Soft of the Boy Surprise.
What?
It's like a menu item at Friendly's.
Yeah.
What would that even look like? It would be like that thing on Just Friends that they serve Ryan Reynolds with like the pancakes and the whipped cream and the sprinkles and he's like, I'm not eating this.
Right. Yeah.
It would be him, like a shirtless version of him, and when you crack it open, you know what's on the inside? A heart.
I just like
heart.
gagged. You say that.
Soft Boy
James,
Surprise.
my pick for during our pitches, mine was Legacy of the Skywalkers, but I've axed that.
Yeah.
And now I'm going with Fate of the Galaxy will be the name of Star Wars Episode 9.
Ooh, that's a good
that.
one. That's a solid one. I feel like it's going to be something with hope in it. Like the Legacy of Hope or the Return of Hope.
Enough of the hope already.
I'm telling you, dude, they say hope so many times in The Last Jedi that like the spark of hope or something like that.
It's almost like we need to remind people that it's about hope. So Rogue One, let's have Leia say the one with hope.
Honestly, John,
Star Wars wasn't even called A New Hope originally. Then they're like, let's name it A New Hope. Oh my God.
Rachel.
Okay, Rachel.
I don't know why I did that.
James wasn't here for a week, so he's used to talking to Rachel, his wife. And
I guess so.
John, for once, wait, hold on.
Built on hope.
Hold on. John, for once, I'm going to 100% agree with you that the best title I've heard so far, away from Son of Darkness, which I think is garbage, or A New Order, garbage, is The Fate of the Galaxy. I thoroughly enjoy that title, and I would put my vote towards that.
Yeah, I didn't get to talk about that. Yeah, I didn't get to talk about that Son of Darkness thing. I actually kind of liked that when I heard it, but I thought about it a little bit longer, and I was like,
then that makes the whole movie
I
about Kylo. And then that downplays... I know, guys, be shocked right now. People are like,
what's the problem, Lacey?
What's the catch here? Hold on.
Downplays...
Yeah.
What's going on here?
Downplays Rey's journey. If you make the entire movie about Kylo Ren, then what's the point of Rey being there? Why would you name it Son of Darkness? That is so like self-serving.
So drum roll. Lacey Gilleran's pick is
The Fate of the Galaxy, because that
is. Oh, you're agreeing. You're all right.
Yes, absolutely, because that is a solid title that when that shows on the screen, you're going to go, oh my gosh, this is it.
And
the
then
final battle.
And then I can go back and say, I called it. Yeah.
And watch it be Son of Darkness and we're both wrong. And I'm going to be like,
The reason I thought the Son of Darkness was cool is because then it would be about Kylo. But I thought what also could be cool about that is that kind of bought into the whole like bringing back of Darth Vader, or maybe this whole thing really is about Anakin.
Right.
Son
That
of
ties it
Darkness.
back. Yeah, no, that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
It just.
And I was like, oh, that's cool. But then I thought about it more and I was like, I don't know.
But I definitely believe, and I'm sorry I'm going to say this because I know someone's going to get mad at me, but like I totally feel that a dude came up with that title because that totally downplays, I've said totally so many times, that downplays what Rey's journey is and her character arc and her importance in the galaxy. If you're naming the last movie on her journey about the dude that she's been with for like, what, 30 seconds? Like, what? That makes no sense.
Did it
downplay Rey's journey when they named it after Luke?
Yeah, but Luke is who she goes to, so that is part of her journey. And her journey... listen. Her journey is figuring out that the Last Jedi isn't the person that she thought he was.
Let's not forget that also at the end of The Last Jedi, Rey becomes the Last Jedi.
Right.
So
I'm just going off of what you said earlier when Rian Johnson was like, that's you, buddy.
I love when Lacey waves us off. Like, I'm like, whoa!
Hold on.
Okay, so...
Because I know it's throwing a lot of people's emotions right now that I just shot down a soft boy title.
Yeah.
Yes.
However, he doesn't deserve it.
there's
Rey
a lot
deserves the final title.
Lacey, there's a lot of things like I really don't want to see Hayden Christensen in Episode 9 because I like Vader's end in Return of the Jedi.
It's a solid ending, yeah.
But if I see him, I'm going to be like, that's cool. You don't have to be all or nothing. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Exactly. And you know what? If it is Son of Darkness, I'm going to be like, this is the best title ever.
Yeah,
but right now, no.
Like I said, it could be called Episode 9 Fart Buckets, and I'll still go see the movie. Like... The Force Awakens, The Last Jedi's Fart Buckets.
Oh my gosh.
Think about
Title announcement on April 1st.
That's going to be our next question for resistance transmission is, what do you think the next title is? Star Wars.
Fart Buckets.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're making up titles, and 2 out of 3 are the same. Thanks, guys.
Lacey, I'm not going to argue if she likes my suggestion. So
I do. And the funny thing is, when I was thinking about this question, because I'm not going to lie, guys, I sneaked a peek at what the questions were, and this one came up on the notes, and I was like, oh man, I got to think about this. So I looked up the thesaurus, like words for hope and legacy and like all these things, and I was like, it needs to be something final, but I couldn't think of something that wasn't final or last. So Fate of the Galaxy is that finality that I was looking for.
All right.
Well done,
Cool.
John.
Thanks. Can we so we said it enough where if we wind up being right, I wind up being right.
You should make that picture and put it up on Twitter now before someone else steals it and puts it on Reddit, and then everyone's running with it, and you're like, wait a second.
No, we isolate the video clip. We
totally could.
Because
So all of a
today's
sudden now everyone's talking about Crossfire.
Today's December 17th on the broadcast day, but it's really December 13th when we're recording this. And I have a tweet
Live to
already
tape.
where I said it, so that's timestamped too. So don't steal my stuff, Reddit. I'm looking at you.
You're going to see a post that says, guys, I know this guy. James already tweets. He turns his phone around and it shows his tweet. Hey guys, look at my new title idea. It's trending.
I made an image.
Trending on Twitter. John's like, no.
I already tweeted it with the logo with the name in it.
Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How'd I miss that? Oh, right. I don't. You're
Because you have
blocked.
me muted. Yeah. All right, let's get out of here.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for your questions. We really appreciate it. If you want to be on the show, send us your questions at hashtag Ask the Resistance.
There it is.
And and tweet them at us at RBATSWNN on Twitter. Make sure to follow us too. And you could be on the show. Ask us your Star Wars questions. I'm still thinking about that terrible title you came up with.
Fart buckets? I actually tweeted that
Buckets of fart.
when I was talking about everyone was freaking out about the Avengers title so much, like all those people who were like,
Endgame.
trailer's dropping tomorrow, and then it didn't. They're like,
I felt
it's
like that was
because
such a
George
cop
Bush
out, by the
died.
way.
It's not dropping
Yeah.
tomorrow. And then I'm like, I tweeted out, I'm like, does anyone care what the title of that movie is? Everyone's gonna go see it even if it's called Fart Buckets. So whatever.
I'm sorry. I think Endgame is such a cop out. Endgame. Of course, it's the Endgame.
Because Tony Stark said Endgame in the other one, and then yeah.
Is that the thing now? They're gonna say the next title in the previous.
Yeah.
Anyway,
You guys are silly.
I'll take silly. I'll take silly.
anyway, John.
Okay, so
John, wrap it up.
Yeah, she usually says back to you, John, or whatever.
Oh,
but-
back to you, John.
Hey, thanks, Lacey. Yeah, so just like Lacey said, guys, follow us on Twitter at RBATSWNN. And while you're at it, while you're following us, go find our contest tweet for our giveaway package. Again, the Enfys Nest Black Series with the swoop
It's a
bike,
contest.
the book with all the creatures and all that cool stuff, the
Sad porg.
Sad Porg Pop, and the Lego Falcon with Chewie. So go retweet that tweet, enter the contest, and we'll announce next Monday on our Christmas Eve spectacular special Fart Bucket episode that one of you are taking all that stuff home. Guys, make sure you do subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, YouTube, and Spotify. Rate us 5 stars on iTunes. We'd appreciate that very much. And interact on our episodes on YouTube. There's a lot of commenting going on. It's
Give it a like.
little fun banter, like it, do all that cool stuff. And again, most importantly, make sure you're subscribed and tuned in because 2 episodes a week, you got to keep up. Speaking of keeping up, guys, every day we're posting new stuff to our Patreon page.
It's a Patreon.
It is a Patreon,
Got it.
Lacey and Akbar. You guys can go to patreon.com/resistance broadcast. Go check it out. We have 5 tiers starting at $2 a month, a cup of coffee a month, and we have new stuff on there pretty much every day, from polls, new videos, behind the scenes stuff, rumor review videos, comic stuff. We're out in public talking to people, a lot of good stuff. $2 a month. Come check it out. All the way up to tier 5, where you can become a general. So go check it out. Guys, also go to StarWarsNewsNet.com for all of your latest news, reviews, editorials, information, and more. Again, I'm John Hoey. You guys can find me at Johnny Hoey on Twitter. James Bainey, back in the saddle.
Look at him reclining.
You cannot find him at James Bainey, but you can
He's still
find
on
him
vacation.
at...
You can find me at Myra Trunks, MIRAH,
Myra Naps.
TRUNKAOS, Myra Naps, Myra Sleeps, Myra Wears Trunks. You know his name is actually based on underwear.
Yes.
His mom's name is Bulma, which stands for is like women's bloomers. And her last name is Briefs, which is supposed to be like underwear. And then his sister's name is Bra, and his name is Trunks. So,
Okay.
there you go. Little history.
How to make our longest episode in 6 months longer.
Feels
by James-
so
by
long.
James. Very good, buddy. Glad to have you back in the mix. Lacey, how about you?
People can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Lacey Gillerin, where I talk about Star Wars and hopefully don't eat sugar.
Right, that's true. Yeah. So by the time
Oh,
you
and I
guys
have gray hair, and if nobody can really see it.
there it is.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know that. Look at that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you guys keep a watch out, because Lacey has 2 days left, and if there's no title for episode 9 or a teaser, she's eating
starting
a
to feel
big
nervous.
teaspoonful of sugar. But if it does happen, we're all excited because we get that stuff, and you get to see my stupid self eating sugar.
Or maybe it's already dropped.
It may have already happened, and none of this matters. But that's it. We'll see you guys on Thursday. We're bringing back the Kessel Run, guys, and we're going to go over the top 12 worst places in Star Wars to be. So think about that, and enjoy your weeks. We'll see you guys on Thursday with another episode of the Resistance Broadcast. Happy birthday, Gavin. See you around, kids.
Bye, Gavin.